Welcome to Kanara Engineering College's Technical English class. Today let's deal with the topic punctuation. While talking, we use pauses, some slight and some longer, to group words into ideas. Punctuation is the tool that allows us to organize our thoughts and make it easier to review and share our ideas. The standard English punctuation is as follows: period, comma, apostrophe, quotation, question, exclamation, brackets, braces, parenthesis, dash, hyphen, ellipsis, colon, and semicolon. Absence or wrong use of punctuation marks could totally distort the meaning. Full stop indicates the longest pause. Full stop, also known as the period. We use a period at the end of a declarative sentence, a sentence which states an idea. Example: public speaking is an art. Give me some tips on public speaking. Use a period to end an abbreviation. For titles, names, degrees, etc. MA for Master of Arts, Prof. SK. For Professor SK Jake. A series of 3 full stops called an ellipsis can be used to indicate where a section of a quotation has been omitted when it is not relevant to the text. The comma is used in a sentence pause before proceeding, add a phrase that does not contain any new subject, separate items on a list, use more than one adjective, a describing word, like beautiful. For example, Ram bought 2 bottles of Coke, fruits, vegetables, cereals and cartons of milk. Misha was happy, eager and full of anticipation at the start of her summer holiday. Know that commas are used after an introductory dependent clause, which are a group of words before the subject of a sentence that do not form a complete sentence. For example, since we would be returning late anyway, we stayed to watch the sunset. Commas also indicate that introductory words and phrases moved from the end of the sentence. For example, in the light of day, everything looked different. Commas are used between independent clauses or complete sentences joined by a coordinating conjunction, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. For example, my family went to the mall, but I stayed home with the flu. An appositive is a noun or noun phrase that renames a nearby noun. Appositives offer non-essential information. Non-restrictive appositives are set off with commas. Restrictive appositives are not. For example, Alexander Pope, the Restoration poet, is famous for his monologues. Direct address is indicated by the use of a comma or commas, depending upon its placement within the sentence. For example, I think you're wrong, John. A dialogue is a conversation between 2 or more people. If the speaker, and not the listener, in the conversation is identified, his name, or the noun or pronoun used to refer to the speaker, and the verb that refers to his speaking, are enclosed within commas. Example: Mary said, I dislike concerts because the music is too loud. Use commas with dates, addresses, titles, and numbers. For example, John Lennon was born in Liverpool, England, in 1940. On December 12, 1890, orders were sent out for the arrest of Sitting Bull. In numbers more than 4 digits long, use commas to separate the numbers into groups of 3, starting from the right. In numbers 4 digits long, a comma is optional. Example: 3,500 or 3,500. Semicolon. The semicolon is perhaps the most difficult sign of punctuation to use accurately. If in doubt, avoid using it and convert the added material into a new sentence. When joining 2 connected sentences. For example, we set out at dawn. The weather looked promising. Semicolon can also be used to assemble detailed lists. The conference was attended by delegates from Paris, France, Paris, Texas, London, UK, Stockholm, Sweden, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and Mumbai, India. Semicolons join 2 independent clauses or complete sentences that are closely related if no coordinating conjunction is used. Example: Megan said she was tired. She had stayed up late cutting giraffe-shaped holes out of foreign newspapers. Semicolons signal to a reader that the information in both sentences should be taken together. Example: we were planning to go get coffee. However, he had to cancel. Semicolons help avoid confusion between items in lists where there are already commas. Example: she traveled to Sao Paulo, Brazil, Seoul, South Korea, and Nairobi, Kenya. Colons follow independent clauses and call attention to the information that comes after. Colons come after the independent clause or complete sentence and before the word, phrase, sentence, quotation, or list they are introducing. Example, lately, I have had only one thing on my mind, graduation. Never use a colon after a verb that directly introduces a list. Example, the things on my mind are the following: papers, grades and finals. A question mark, as its name suggests, needs to go at the end of every interrogative sentence instead of a full stop. For example, do you remember what I told you about yesterday? Question mark, use a question mark at the end of a direct question. Example, where are you going? Do not use a question mark with an indirect question. Example, I asked if he would go with me. Use a question mark when the sentence is half question, half statement. Example, you would like to go, wouldn't you? Exclamation mark, an exclamation mark added at the end of a sentence shows emphasis. Depending on the meaning of the sentence, it can indicate anger, happiness, excitement, or any other strong emotion. For example, leave me alone. Quotation marks are speech marks. As their name suggests, quotation marks indicate direct quotations. You can also use them to show that a word or a phrase is being used ironically, or for titles of articles, book chapters, episodes of a TV show, etc. For example, you'll never believe what happened last night, Jerry said. Dash, there are two different dashes, the end dash and the dash, the first being slightly shorter than the second one. The end dash is usually used to show a connection between two things, as well as a range of numbers, years, pages, etc. For example, London-Paris flight takes about 1 hour and 15 minutes. For tomorrow's lesson, I need to read pages 45-78 of the textbook. The dash can replace a comma, a colon, or parenthesis. You can also use it to put emphasis on the ending of your sentence. For example, this year, Mark has traveled to quite a few countries: Poland, Germany, Lithuania, Georgia, and Greece. Apostrophe. An apostrophe has two very important uses. Firstly, it can be used in contractions in place of omitted letters. Secondly, it can show possession. For example, you don't have to go to the supermarket if you don't want to dot parentheses. In most cases, you will see additional information in parentheses. Usually, it can be omitted without creating any confusion for the reader. For example, my young daughters, aged 5 and 7, just love playing with our neighbor's dogs. Hyphen, even though it looks very similar to a dash, a hyphen has very different uses. It's most commonly used to create compound words. For example, he is a very self-confident person. Use a dash to emphasize a point or to set off an explanatory comment, but don't overuse dashes or they will lose their impact. Dashes function in some ways like parentheses. Use them in pairs to set off a comment within a sentence. Dashes function in some ways like colons. Use them to introduce material illustrating or emphasizing a statement. Use a hyphen to combine two words that are used as a single adjective before a noun, like one-way street or chocolate-covered peanuts. Hope you understood about punctuation and its uses. Thank you.